El nivel de pánico de Donald Trump jamás, pero en serio, jamás había sido tan alto. Porque aunque ha pasado 2 semanas gritándoles a sus propios seguidores MAGA para que simplemente no hablen del tema de Jeffrey Epstein, no solo simplemente no ha logrado que sus seguidores se alineen, sino que tampoco ha logrado que su propio personal lo haga. La impactante bomba mediática que recibimos hace unos días del Wall Street Journal, que a Donald Trump le dijeron que estaba dentro de los archivos de Jeffrey Epstein, todo esto durante una reunión aparentemente secreta con la fiscal general Pam Bondi, no solo reveló que se confirmó que Donald Trump está dentro de estos archivos de Jeffrey Epstein, sino que también se reveló que alguien dentro de esta reunión secreta estaba filtrando todo. Y esa es la razón por la cual Donald Trump está atacando a su propia base actualmente. Todo esto en un colapso del cual vamos a hablar en este video. Pero antes de entrar en este impactante informe de Jeffrey Epstein, primero quiero empezar con una noticia de última hora. Esta noticia viene por parte del Comité de Supervisión. La congresista Summer Lee desglosa lo que está saliendo de los archivos de Jeffrey Epstein. Esto fue citado recientemente por el Congreso. Miren el clip, por favor.
For being here. So a lot has happened today, and I just tried to outline it. The full Oversight Committee said is going ahead with the subpoena. What happens next?
Well, next, after Comer signs it, right? He said it. He has to sign it. He signed the one for Maxwell within 24 hours. So he says that we expect it. Then the DOJ has to release those files to the Federal Law Enforcement Ranking Subcommittee, to the minority and majority, and we go from there. But right now, what we asked for were the unredacted, complete files. Aside from the First Amendment, there were other amendments to, try to change the language or try to give the DOJ a little bit of wiggle room. That failed. They have to give us the complete unredacted files.
Do you have any sense, you may or may not, but for people who are watching who may not have voted for you, may not like me either, how long this could take? Like how long until the subcommittee might have these files?
So that I don't know the answer to, right? So we know that we're going to be out, right? We're leaving today. They were so hell-bent on making sure that we didn't subpoena them that they canceled session early. So we're gone until, we come back in September. But again, if he's able to move to sign the subpoenas from earlier this week's subcommittee hearings, we expect that he's going to sign these ones just as quickly. And I don't know why they wouldn't be able to give them to us relatively immediately. They exist. They have for a long time. They have them.
So not until September, but you could get them earlier.
We can get them earlier. And the committee could get them earlier. We just won't have any actionable state. But absolutely, why would we not be able to get them?
One of the things I just mentioned is Republicans added, I know you worked with many of them today, but they added subpoenas for people like Bill and Hillary Clinton, James Comey, Loretta Lynch. What do you think that tells us? What is that all about?
We know what it is, right? They are desperate for this narrative that Democrats are trying to protect their own and we're trying to protect our own, but that's what they misunderstand about us, right? At the end of the day, if someone has participated in child sex trafficking, I don't care if they're a prince or a president or if they're anybody in between, they should be held accountable. Democrats aren't saying that, oh, well, we're afraid of who might be on it. No. So them bringing in Bill Clinton right now, it cost us anything if that's what they want to do, right? So again, they were just trying to make this a both sides thing to make up for the fact that they are being hypocrites, that they said that this is what they want. You saw, right? We read off all of the members of the subcommittee who called very publicly for these files to be released. We saw that they ran on this in the last election, from Trump on down to all of his folks. They all ran on this. So they're just trying to distract from the fact that they're being hypocrites, that they know that they're choosing to protect Donald Trump over the very victims that they keep giving lip service to, that they're choosing to protect Donald Trump over transparency for the American people that they're calling for. They're very based in all Americans of all different parties. And that's really what that was about.
Esto realmente es una gran noticia. No es únicamente una victoria para los demócratas, sino que representa a los republicanos cediendo a la presión que están teniendo por sus propios electores. En el Comité de Supervisión vimos las elecciones 8-2, con los mismos republicanos uniéndose a los demócratas. Todo esto a favor de una citación para los archivos de Jeffrey Epstein. Ya no están sintiendo más presión de Donald Trump, la están sintiendo directamente de sus seguidores y obviamente de sus votantes. Y esto únicamente va a seguir alimentando la guerra interna que existe entre Donald Trump y toda su base. El presidente de la Cámara de Representantes, Mike Johnson, cree que puede simplemente cerrar el Congreso para callar esta conversación. Y no puede, porque incluso el propio personal de Donald Trump cree y desea seguir hablando sobre estos archivos de Jeffrey Epstein. Y él, créanme, que está perdiendo la cabeza por esto. Y por eso justamente vimos este informe. Miren, por favor. Donald Trump, desesperado, reprime a su propio equipo por hablar sobre Epstein, mientras la crisis se descontrola. Donald Trump espera que la indignación en torno a los archivos de Jeffrey Epstein eventualmente se disipe si su administración administración simplemente deja de hablar del tema, según un informe. En un cambio respecto a la estrategia habitual de defender públicamente a Donald Trump cueste lo que cueste, los funcionarios de la Casa Blanca supuestamente han implementado una orden de silencio dentro de la administración sobre el tema de Jeffrey Epstein, a menos que se cuente con una revisión de alto nivel. Un alto funcionario de la administración dijo a NBC News: la oficina de comunicaciones tiene que estar directamente involucrada en este aspecto. El funcionario agregó: cada punto debe estar bien colocado, cada cruz debe de estar marcada correctamente. Donald Trump, quien ha estado desesperadamente tratando de distraer a su base maga de los crímenes del difunto mediante olas y olas de provocaciones escandalosas, también espera que la ira disminuya si su círculo cercano deja de hablar sobre Jeffrey Epstein. Una fuente cercana a la Casa Blanca dijo al medio que los asesores del presidente se dieron cuenta de que un apagón mediático total no era viable, ya que todavía quieren que los funcionarios elogien las políticas de Donald Trump y transmitan su mensaje en la televisión. En lugar de todo esto, Donald Trump y su equipo idearon un compromiso para convencer a su administración de pasar rápidamente a otro tema y no intentar defender al presidente cuando surja el asunto de Jeffrey Epstein. Las preguntas van a llegar, pero si respondemos o no es parte de la consideración, dijo el funcionario. A pesar de que Donald Trump y su círculo íntimo prometieron liberar los archivos de Jeffrey Epstein, el FBI y el Departamento de Justicia dijeron que no van a publicar ni un documento más. Una preocupación importante es que Donald Trump ha intentado, obviamente fallado, en convencer a sus seguidores de que dejen atrás el tema de Jeffrey Epstein, llegando incluso a emitir un raro ataque contra sus propios seguidores, alegando que cayeron completamente en una teoría conspirativa absurda. Este cambio de postura subraya cuánto está luchando el equipo de Donald Trump en su intento por controlar la narrativa sobre Epstein, que ha provocado un fuerte malestar en la base maga del presidente durante semanas. Así que ahora Donald Trump está atacando a su propio personal y rogándoles que por favor se callen con respecto al asunto de Jeffrey Epstein, arremetiendo contra cualquiera que se atreva a hablar sobre el tema, sin supuestamente haber sido debidamente informado, lo que sea que esto signifique. Y ese estar informado básicamente parece ser mentir y decir que fue culpa de Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Hillary Clinton o no sé, tal vez alguna nueva narrativa que quieran tener sobre este asunto. Pero sinceramente sigo creyendo que esta es una estrategia terrible. Donald Trump únicamente va a dejar espacio abierto para que las demás personas sigan hablando de Jeffrey Epstein y nosotros vamos a seguir haciéndolo obviamente. Y lo peor es que cuando pone a sus voceros MAGA a defenderlo realmente no le sale tan bien. Y uno de los peores ejemplos que vimos de esto vino de alguien que evidentemente no nos quede bien dentro del canal. Y ese es Scott Jennings. Miren el clip, por favor.
Name is in the Jeffrey Epstein files weeks before the Justice Department came out and said, you know what? We're not releasing anything more. We're done with this.
Yeah, nothing to see here. Look, I will stipulate that it is not a surprise to know that Donald Trump's name is in those files. That does not mean he did anything wrong. And because we knew that, I mean, anybody who lived in New York in the 90s knew that there was a relationship because they would pal around. They were, like we're seeing right there, they were photographed together. Now, the difference is now he's the president, and the way that the White House has completely mishandled this situation and continues to mishandle it, I think is very telling. I mean, Scott's putting a brave face on it, but let's be clear. His members of his own base, I mean, you have conservative media influencers and folks with their, actors who they're the ones who are unhappy. And this is completely a crisis that Donald Trump created for himself because he trafficked in conspiracy theories and, crazy, and made a promise. And the problem here is, I agree with Scott. I don't know that I would say he's lost his base, although I do think Republican members are going to go home and they're probably going to hear about this from people. And I think there's a couple of pieces here, right? There's the one piece that is sincerely about getting to the truth, and this case is one in which I think people have been interested in that for a very long time and have a great deal of empathy for the young women who are now, they were girls at the time, who, God bless them, they deserve justice. And, they're terrified by all accounting from those who've been talking to them. And I think one thing we need to make sure of is let's make sure we're protecting them in this process. I think that's something we can all agree on. But there's another piece to this, which is, it's not just about Trump breaking a promise. This is about, and I say this as a Catholic, this is a lot to me like the Catholic Church scandal. Are you standing on the side of the powerful or are you protecting the vulnerable? Because Donald Trump has the power to make this happen today if he wanted to. And instead, he's obfuscating with like, oh, well, let's get the grand jury testimony. Let's go have Todd Blanche talk to, Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, that's not the same thing as saying, you know what, we're going to redact the names of the women and protect the girls, and we're going to make the information available. And the last thing I'll say, John, the reason it matters, it's not just about whether or not Donald Trump is in there. It's about who else is in there who are likely very powerful people, mutually assured destruction here with a lot to lose. And Donald Trump is protecting them over these young women.
May I just rebut? I actually agree with a lot of what Karen said about the need to protect victims and to keep them in mind here. But if it is a cover-up or some scheme to protect Donald Trump today, what would you have called it, say, during the Biden administration, when they had these exact same records for 4 years and not a shred of it was put out? Would you say they were covering up for the powerful too? Because if you're alleging it today, you must have been alleging it then.
Well, no, actually, that's not what I'm saying, Scott, and you know it, so please don't be disingenuous.
They had the records.
Donald Trump is the one, hold on, Donald Trump is the one who made this an issue. The only reason this is an issue right now is because Donald Trump for years has been talking about releasing these records. It is his base that has been interested in, okay, you had the whole show of the meeting at the White House with the binders. Ghislaine Maxwell was sentenced in 2022. She was in prison. And you did have Debbie Wasserman Schultz has been trying to pass legislation to protect victims from these types of secret sweetheart deals like we saw Epstein get. But again, it is Donald Trump's base that has been clamoring. It is the Laura Loomers of the world who are attacking him about this that have kicked this up. And there's the only reason is because of Donald Trump's promise. I'm not saying, cover up or not. I'm saying, who are you going to protect with your power? Are you going to protect wealthy men, or are you going to protect the vulnerable? That's the question now.
It's a good question, but I would just ask this: who was Biden protecting with his power?
We're going to leave it with that question, but also with the question of, if he was told in May that his name is in the files, why then say no? He wasn't told last week. It does beg more questions, and we will keep on asking.
They did use the phrase in the Wall Street Journal, unverified hearsay. If they're calling, what's he fighting here? Unverified hearsay.
The New York Times and CNN have both reported by multiple sources that the president was briefed Bondi, and the White House hasn't really denied it.
But what he said is that the file contains references to him that are unverified hearsay. That's what the journal says.
Was he lying or is he senile? Which is it?
Esto es demasiado vergonzoso para el movimiento MAGA. Estos teóricos de la conspiración han prometido una victoria inexistente durante tanto tiempo, pero simplemente parece que nunca va a llegar para ellos. Pero bueno, yo cumplí con mi deber de informarte como lo hago todos los días. Y como siempre te digo, para mí lo más importante es saber tu opinión al respecto y me encantaría que la dejes en los comentarios. Está de más recordártelo, pero si te gusta el contenido de política estadounidense y te gusta estar realmente informado, te va a encantar suscribirte al canal, ya que subo videos todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.